Hey everybody, it's Serdy. How's it going? Today we're going to be looking at my top 10 favorite cards from Hour of Devastation. Let's get on to number 10. Here we have Mirage Near, a 3-dropped artifact. Pay 2 to become a copy of any targeted artifact, creature, enchantment, or land until end of turn. I think it's a really interesting ability that a control deck can sit behind. Also, an aggro deck could take advantage of it as well. Lay a creature and then turn this into that creature and then swing with that creature. Just laying this gives you a lot of options on the field that both you and your opponent have to decide. Here's number 9, Consigned to Oblivion. Its first ability is pay 2, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. And its second ability, Aftermath, you can play it when it's in your graveyard. Target opponent discards 2 cards. I think this is going to be good in pre-release, which I'm going to be going to because later on in the game, your opponent's not going to have many cards in their hand. They're going to be at 6 mana or something, lay their bomb card. You're going to say, hey, I'll return that bomb creature card to your hand. Oh, and on my turn, I'll make you discard that card as well as the other thing you were saving in your hand. So I think it's going to be pretty good. Will it see standard play or modern play? I'm not exactly sure about that. That 5-drop really doesn't, or that 5 mana cost really doesn't help it, but I think it'll be fun to play. Number 8 is Endless Sands. It's a really interesting ability that kind of gives you the ability to make your creatures kind of wander out into the desert, and then you can sacrifice the land and all the creatures come back at once. So it's a great way to save the individual pieces of your army and kind of bring them all back at once. You can also, if anybody's going to be playing a removal on your cards, you can be like, no, he'll just kind of wander out into the desert, and he's gonna come back later. You'll see him later. It's not the end you'll see of these creatures. But I'm always a sucker for lands that have abilities, and this ability is a pretty interesting one. So that's why it comes to the number 8 slot. Number 7 is Majestic Mirror Ark. It's a 5-drop. Power and toughness are equal to twice the number of creatures you control. And then at the beginning of each combat, if any of your creatures has an ability, this thing also has that ability. Of course, I didn't include many mythics in this list because, of course, if it's a mythic, it's going to have a really powerful ability. It's going to be a planeswalker or something like that. But this one, I think itself, by the time you have 5 mana, it's going to be turn 4 or 5. You're going to have 2 creatures out on the field already. This is going to be a 6/6. Even an 8/8 isn't unheard of when you lay it. So, and its ability to gain all these other abilities, such as you can lay it down and have it have haste and first strike and lifelink and all this other stuff. I'm not sure if it's going to see constructed play, but it'll be around, and maybe something will take advantage of it. Number 6, we have Torment of Hellfire. Repeat the following process X times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a permanent or discard a card. I can see this easily being cast for X equals 6. I'm sorry, opponent, you have to either lose 18 life or sacrifice 6 things or discard 6 cards or some combination of that. It's going to fluster your opponent, and for 1 card, it's a really nice ability. Number 5 is Driven to Despair. The top part is basically every time your creatures deal damage, you draw a card. The bottom part is every time your creatures deal damage, your opponents discard a card. Now, it's not that hard to see you drawing 3 cards off of this and then next turn or something after that, making your opponent discard 4. That is a very powerful ability for that many cards to be swung back and forth between you and your opponent. It's going to be powerful. You'll see play somewhere. Now we're on to number 4 with Rona's Last Stand. Pay 2 green. Create a 5/4 snake, and lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. This is pretty crazy. I used to think that, what was it, Leatherback Baloth for green for a 4/5 was pretty powerful. 2 green for a 5/4 is insane, and it's not that hard for a deck to play this on turn 2, turn 3, be ready with a bolt or something like that. With a 5/4, that's a hell of a clock. Over to number 3, we have Bontu's Last Reckoning. For 3 mana, destroy all creatures and lands you control don't untap. I'm not exactly sure on that lands you control don't untap thing, but other than that, I'm really liking this card. I want one. I'm not sure if a deck could play 4, but I think it's a really nice ability for 3. Black really needs Destroy All Creatures, and this card's going to see play, especially in things like Commander decks, maybe somewhere in Modern. Over 2, number 2, we have Bloodwater Entity. It's a 2/2 flying, prowess, and whenever it enters the battlefield, put target instant or sorcery from your graveyard back to the top of your library. I've been seeing a lot of cards in Modern popping up with prowess lately. It's not hard to see you play this on, turn 3, return a counterspell or bolt to the top of your library. Next turn, bolt, this thing that deals 4. It's just so crazy. It's gonna see play. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Coming in at the number 1 slot, we have Nimble Obstructionist. It's a 3/1 flash, flying, cycling, and it counters an ability. What's better than countering your opponent's fetch lands or playing a 3/1 flash for 3? This is definitely going to see play. It's only going to get better as time goes on, as more interesting cards and abilities that come out with abilities. It's a perfect sideboard card. It's perfectly splashable. It draws you a card. It's aggro on curve if you want it to be. This is going to be great. Alright guys, well that was my top 10. I didn't try to include too many mythics in there, and I tried to include a different variety of formats, not only standard, but modern, commander, limited, booster draft, pre-release, things like that. I'm going to be going to the pre-release myself in a week, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see my results, as well as my buddies. Other than that, I do videos about gaming and other stuff on this channel. I don't know, I'm pretty bad. But until next time, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.